Hey guys, Otto here from Acquisition Partner. Apologies for the lack of uploads in the last few weeks. Been super busy with a lot of client-based work that we've been going through at the moment. So what I want to do in this video, guys, is show you specifically how you can build and scale your own paid community, starting from ground zero, starting from absolutely zero monthly recurring revenue like we do from our community. And I'm going to go through every single thing within this blueprint that you need in order to make that community launch a success. Okay, so we're not only going to go over platform selection, things like that, whether you should use School or Discord or any other platform there. We're going to go over pricing and our dual pointed pricing mechanism that we use, discount strategy. We're also going to go over our 7 to 10 part pre-launch whisper sequence, which we used in order to actually launch the community and front load a ton of revenue up front. And then we're going to go through all the nuts and bolts too about how you can actually optimize your community, manage it without taking up all of your time, and bolster retention too, so that everybody that pays to join your community ends up staying for life. So here it is, guys. Okay, how to launch a successful paid community. Now, the successful launch of your paid community really depends on actually the reason at its core of why you are launching a paid community. Okay, so you might have been swept along with the bandwagon online at the moment. You know, obviously School is getting a lot of press and a lot of attention, and everyone and their dog, every man and their dog is trying to launch a paid community as their next sort of product offering. Okay, we're seeing people also take away their high ticket products and flagship offers to then actually substituting those for paid communities too. And what I want to do here is really deconstruct kind of the value behind actually launching a paid community, some of the issues that you might not foresee currently if you're in a situation where you don't have a community, but also we're going to go through pricing and everything there too. So really it starts with the why. Now, the reason that we started a community was that we were giving out free value, so predominantly through YouTube and through across other social platforms, giving out free content, free value with the 5 days to 100K from one client free course. And what we were doing was primarily driving traffic top of funnel that we were getting through the free course directly to our landing pages and our sales assets for our flagship high ticket offer. Okay, so we have a 90-day coaching program. It runs for actually 12 months with our one-on-one support. Anybody that's been following me will already know what we do there. But specifically, the reason that we wanted to launch the community was that we were already building a cohort of users who had already come to the free course, got a load of value from it, and they didn't actually have a place really that they could share questions or give their input about the free course. So we have a Facebook group. We don't really use it at this point in time. Probably should try and increase engagement there, but we don't put any sort of time into that at all because now we have our free and our paid community that I'm going to show you how we built it here. All right, so for us, the reason started was that we already had a large body of data from people who had signed up, given us their email addresses and their contact details in return for having access to the free course. So we wanted to create kind of an added layer of value around that so that they could have a safe place to ask questions, whatever it might be. But also we were finding that naturally with our business, because we have an ultra high ticket offer really, where all of our members pay a considerable investment up front, a lot of the people that come to our videos and watch my content are individuals that perhaps at this stage in their business genesis and their growth, they're not actually at the stage where they can invest a significant volume of their resources or income, and actually having a lower ticket offer for them gives them a way to get a taste for what we're like as a business, how we operate, as well as getting value for a very small fee. So for us, we saw the community as having these kind of two core reasons for being. The first one here is just to provide an additional layer of value to all of you guys that are watching. It's a way for you to interact with me one-on-one, but also it was a way for us to upsell. So if any of our sales reps are on calls, turns out that a leads come through and they shouldn't have been marketing qualified leads, they're not sales qualified, actually they don't have the budget to invest in our flagship offer, whatever it might be, we can actually cross-sell, downsell the lower ticket community membership, whatever it might be. It has a real kind of versatile use case here. All right, so jumping into how it works for us. Now, this is basically our funnel. Top of funnel, the wide sort of open mouth here is the free course. Okay, so like I say, we have the 5 days to 100K from one client free course, where we will literally show you how, as an acquisition partner, you can leverage that model to bag a 100K client within the first 5 days. We've got reviews and testimonials on the landing page there if you want to check it out. So from there, we tried two techniques. So initially what we would do is basically give free access. So through email, through our CRM on high level, we would give email access to the free course. Individuals would then be able to log in through Podio. They get access to over 38 individual modules there. But what we did initially was actually give access via the free community platform. And now we're going to go into platform choices here. So just to preempt what we did, our free community is built on Discord. And what we did here, instead of giving individuals when they signed up, gave us their email address and sign up data, personal data, instead of just sending an email saying, here's access to the Podio course, what we would actually say is, here's access to the Podio course is through our free Discord community. Okay, so what we were able to do there was basically give ourselves a little bit more value, not only give them the free course that they had signed up to instantly, but we also gave them a route to join the free community, which helped build our community numbers and also give them, additional layers of value. Okay, so from the community platform, we then offer a upgrade and an upsell to the paid community, and from there we have a large number of our low ticket member holders for that community then booking calls for our flagship high ticket offer. Now, if you don't know about what our offer is in the acquisition partner program, I'll leave a link in the description below. But moving on swiftly, okay, so the next important thing when it comes to actually building a paid community is deciding what platform to use. Now, there's a number of different use cases for the likes of School or Discord or Circle or Facebook groups, whatever it might be. If you're using Facebook groups, it's not a good example. But you'll see online that there's a lot of kind of hype around School. And what this really depends on is your specific use case, okay? So for us, the reason that we selected Discord and landed on Discord, I've never been a Discord user. I'm not a, Gen Zer. I'm not a super young guy that's on Discord, and all these different servers and channels. But the reason that we chose Discord as a platform for our community offer was largely due to its versatility as a platform and the benefits that we could get from it. Okay, so really what we wanted was a wider community where we could not only have free members inside the same community, but we can actually have multiple channels that were behind a paywall. So what I can do actually is to show you our community just here. And as you can see, we've got the free channels, a lot of free channels up here. So updates, free course access, free course questions, rules, whatever it might be, instructions on how to upgrade. But then when you get into the actual paid community, the majority here, 75-80% of the channels within the acquisition partner server are actually behind the paywall there, okay? So that just gives an example of kind of the user case that we made for Discord, something that you can't do, as far as I'm aware, in School. You'd either need a free community or a paid community. Okay, so we wanted multiple channels. We wanted a way to be able to manage that community that would be super simple, where we could rely on virtual assistants or whatever it might be. Equally, having the app on your phone means that you can, when you get posts and there's engagement in the community, you can ping back responses super quickly. So having a fully functioning app was really important there too. Equally, in Discord, you can set roles and permissions. So within your server, what you can do is go to settings and roles, and you can set a number of different roles here, which will basically mean you can give different access to different channels depending on the role assigned to each individual user. Okay, so that was one of the use cases for us. We've got, I think, over that number now in the community too, which is really positive. So from a starting point, what you want to do is basically figure out the reason why you're doing it, look at your funnel, reestablish where the community is going to sit in your funnel, and then select a platform. Okay, so once you've figured out your why, once you've actually selected and dedicated yourself to a specific platform, you need to start looking at payments, i.e. how are you actually going to take payment for your paid community subscriptions, okay? So one thing that I want to do, and this is going to probably need a whole different video on this separately anyway, but something we're seeing across the board is that a lot of Stripe accounts, if you're not aware of it already, are currently being paused, banned, or completely shut down, okay? So one thing that we recommend is mitigating and diversifying your payment risk across a number of different merchants within your business, all right? So if you are running an online business of any sort, maybe you've got a social media marketing agency, you're a freelancer or a coach, whatever it might be, 9 times out of 10, chances are with almost 100% certainty, you will be using Stripe as your payment processor, okay? But one thing we are seeing is that individuals who have used Stripe for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it might be. They've transacted on tens, hundreds, if not millions, dollars worth of transaction values. They're actually finding that their accounts are being shut down in recent months and over the last almost 12 to 24 months for reasons that are unexplained. And like I say, I'm going to make a separate video on this because it's really important. But one thing that we recommend is that if you have multiple offers, i.e. you have a high ticket or an ultra high ticket flagship offer or service, and you also have a lower ticket product or service like a community or an info product, then diversify your risk of being paused or shut down on your payment processing platform by using a lot of different merchant accounts. Okay, so we can talk about bank account diversification too in that video, which I should make. But in this instance here, if we're using Stripe for our main flagship high ticket offer, we want to use a separate merchant for the low ticket offer. And the reason for that is that if any issues come through with that merchant on the low ticket, you're not going to be affected taking payments for that high ticket offer. All right. So what we are using now is a merchant called Lemon Squeezy strictly for our community paid memberships. Okay. And the reason for that is numerous. So what I'll do is just jump over into the Lemon Squeezy dash here. So this is just showing on I think this is a daily basis at the moment. You can change that to anything you like. And what you're able to see here is a very similar user experience and interface to Stripe. Okay, it's very similar at first glance, but there are some key nuanced differences that I can talk through. All right, so I'm going to go through that in this video. Now, one of the key considerations you have to make when selecting a different payment merchant platform is the payout method. Okay, so one of the things that I didn't realize initially is that Lemon Squeezy, in order to pay out to your bank account, they can only pay out through Stripe Express or through PayPal. Okay, so if you don't have a Stripe account or you're banned on Stripe, or you don't have PayPal or you're banned on PayPal, then you won't be able to use Lemon Squeezy as your merchant and as your payment processor. Okay, so it's something to consider there. They don't actually present that information to you until you try and sync your bank account when you've opened an account. But it's one thing just to have front of mind before dedicating yourself to a new merchant there. All right, another thing here to keep in mind is just timeframes of payouts. Okay, so if you're desperate for cash, Lemon Squeezy might not be the best platform. I think there's about a 14-day, could be possibly 30-day wait for you to actually have that pending amount pay into your bank account. So fortunately for us, we don't make money necessarily off the community offer. That's not our bread and butter. Our bread and butter is working directly with our own clients as well as our flagship offer in the Acquisition Partner Program. Another consideration here is fees. So if you are with a merchant that charges very, very high fees, you're obviously going to have to pay tax on all of the, depending on where your customers are and where you reside, you're going to have to pay tax on all of your sales too. So you just got to consider the fees there too. Obviously, don't go with a platform that charges exorbitant fees. And again, we want to look at versatility. So one of the key considerations here, and I've used a tool that actually helps block out names, so scramble the names here. One of the key considerations here with Lemon Squeezy is that they have their own automated dunning management built-in abandoned cart reminder sequences. So instead of having to integrate a platform like ConvertKit or going through High Level, whatever it might be, you can actually use Lemon Squeezy's native built-in abandoned cart recovery solution, so that anybody who signs up, or maybe they were once a paying customer of yours, whatever it might be, they previously had a subscription, if they cancel, if they forget to pay or need to update their payment details, you can do that directly and natively within Lemon Squeezy. Okay, so those are some of the key considerations for us. And now that we've considered all of those variables there, what I'm going to talk about is our specific pricing strategy that we use in order to front load a load of cash flow and revenue, even before we had actually gone live with our community paid offer. Okay, so there's three key considerations when it comes to pricing. Okay, so you might be sat there thinking, I've either got a free community or I want to launch a community. I don't have any members yet. How on earth do I price this? Do I charge weekly? Do I charge daily, monthly? What about lifetime subscriptions? How do I basically make the most amount of money possible in the shortest amount of time? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Okay, so the first thing that you want to make sure of with your pricing and with your paid community access is that everything is easy. So from the customer's point of view, it's easy to understand, i.e. is it cancelled weekly? What happens when you need to update billing details, whatever it might be, you need to make sure that all of those instructions are easy, and you also need to make it easy to cancel. So if your offer is a weekly membership, make sure that it's easy to cancel in the email order confirmation. put a link in there, which you can do through Lemon Squeezy, through a button actually, to the customer's portal, where they can actually pause a subscription, cancel it, change their billing details, whatever it might be. What you don't want to do is have all of that kind of administrative burden fall upon you and your team. So every time a customer needs to cancel, they need to get in contact with you through a phone number, whatever it might be. You might think that that's going to help retention, but in essence, it actually won't. So you want to make it easy for the customer to not only understand, but actually easy to implement too, in terms of canceling and things like that. And the same goes for upgrading. If they're on a weekly membership, maybe they want to benefit from a lifetime membership. You need to make that easy for them too, and you can do that natively within Lemon Squeezy. All right, so in terms of pricing, you need to go for two options, okay? And this is what we did. So operating within the low ticket sphere, obviously a paid community for $40 a week, whatever it might be, is not a high ticket product, okay? But that doesn't mean that you have to have only one singular pricing option for customers in your paid community. So although this is our low ticket product offering, we offer a very basically two different pricing mechanisms that any one particular customer can go for at any one particular time. Okay, so the core of our offer is £37 pound sterling per week, so it's probably $40 per week, whatever it might be. Cancel anytime. Okay. That cost there for the weekly membership represents 10% of our lifetime access offer. All right. So the reason that we introduced a lifetime offer, and we did this from the off, was that we thought in the first instance, through our launch and all of the promotion that we will be doing and all of the eyeballs that we'll actually be getting on our content and on our community paid product offering, why not try and offer a slightly higher ticket product, which will actually enable us to not only offer more value to our early movers in the paid community, because we can do that through discounts, which we're going to talk about here, but it also means that we can front load a load of revenue. So, say you launch a paid community, you charge $40 a week, you might maybe get 5 customers on the same day as launch. Whereas if you actually introduce something that's higher ticket, but you introduce a specific discount for early movers too, you can actually increase your initial cash collected, revenue generated substantially through that kind of momentum that you've built through the launch sequence. All right. We're actually going to go through the specific launch sequence of what we did in a moment here. All right. So once you've got your prices set, you've got your weekly price and your lifetime price, what you want to do is introduce some discounts. So it's very easy to create discounts in Lemon Squeezy. Just have to go here in the tabs on the left-hand side. But what you want to do is basically, in order to drive that early stage revenue and cash flow generation, is create 2 discounts, a 50% and a 75% discount. All right. We're going to leverage these in a moment here when we talk about the Whisper series. All right, so once we've got our platform selected, you've got your pricing set, you've got your payment processor and your merchant set up, we need to start looking at how you're actually going to launch this damn thing. All right, so what are you going to do to actually generate some buzz, promote the new paid community, and how are you going to lift this up from ground zero? Now, the way that we did this is through what we call our Whisper series for the launch sequence. All right, and it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stage process that runs 14 days before the launch day. It includes the direct messaging that you need to put out on the launch day, and it also goes through to 3 days plus into the future after the specific launch day, all of which are key components in that timeline that you can leverage in order to drive signups consistently. Okay, so 14 days out from launching your paid community, here's what you want to do. All right. So maybe you've got an audience already. Maybe I think we launched this paid community with less than 1,000 YouTube subscribers. I've got a bit of an email list too. But if you're going from ground zero, or similarly a small community like that, what you want to do is basically float the idea. And it's not the concept here is that you're not floating the idea necessarily to not do it if you get bad feedback. So it might be if you float it to your audience or your contact list or your prospects, whatever it might be. If you get a very, very negative sort of response back from the prospect of launching your paid community, you might want to reconsider. But the nature of doing this, thinking of launching a paid community kind of strategy here, is in order to kind of float the idea and introduce that initial whisper. Okay, so what we recommend doing here is when you're running your 50% and your 75% off discounts off of your lifetime membership, get those discount codes live and set up ASAP, because what you will find is that the times that you least expect actually gaining new customers are the times often when they trickle in the most. It's some sort of weird kind of rule of the universe there. So what we found was that even though we had launched, we were going to be launching in 2 weeks' time, through actually setting up the discount codes, making those live and available secretly, people started to find them wherever they were in our funnel. They were finding those discount codes, even though they weren't 100% live, the community wasn't live. They were finding them and redeeming them, and kind of leveraging a component of human psychology, in that they wanted to get something that they thought other people actually didn't currently know about and have access to. Okay, so that initially drove signups for us, weekly subscribing members, before we had even launched the paid community. All right. So moving into 7 days out, you've listened to the feedback. You're going to launch anyway. You've got your special discounts ready. But what you want to make clear to your audience is that these special discounts are for early movers only. So the 50% off and the 75% off discount codes here should only be applied to the lifetime offer. All right. So what you want to do is basically juxtapose your weekly subscription membership option to the heavily discounted lifetime subscription, lifetime access option too. And what you're going to do there is basically show people, I could pay £370 or $450, whatever it might be, for lifetime access. But if I get on early and I actually redeem these discounts, I'm going to get that for considerably less. And it's going to be worth my while to do that, even more so than just paying for 1 week, £37 and then unsubscribing, because this is a limited time offer. Okay. And that's exactly what drove revenue for us in the first 14 days before launch. All right, so what you want to do 3 days out is just launch a simple countdown. You can do this 3 to 1 days out too, depending on how, attrition rates with your audience, how sort of open and flexible you are to hitting them with more marketing than perhaps they might be used to. But what you want to do here is make it very, very clear what the instructions are. Okay, so it's 50% off. We've got 5 discount codes. And equally, it might be that you also want to offer an offer, put forth an offer here for the weekly subscribers too, where you say, look, we will be charging a setup fee as well as the weekly fee. But as part of the launch, we're going to give away 5 spaces where you actually pay a £0 setup fee there. Okay, so we didn't do that in the first instance. We just kept strictly to the 50% off lifetime subscription, and we also threw in a free resource there, which we called the Client Acquisition Playbook. Okay, so that's a mini course that basically helps individuals get their first 3 to 5 high ticket clients, whether they're running an agency, coaching, or consulting offer. All right, so moving swiftly on, 1 day out, again, you want to hit them with the second reminder here. Again, keep your CTAs very, very clear. Keep the value prop clear, so it's going to be 50% off. Click this link to check out, whatever it might be. And here's where it gets really juicy. So one thing that we did was, within the free community, we already had individuals who were already very much engaged. They were messaging regularly. They were DMing me. I was having conversations with them. I was friends with them on Discord. And one thing that I wanted to do was basically say to them, look, we're having this new paid community launch in a day's time. We're going to have 5 discount codes available, but because you're such a regular in the free community, I wanted to let you know early before we launch it to the email list. All right, and one thing that's going to help do is basically continue building on that trust that you've built with these individuals. Anyway, we call them community heroes, and it's going to actually give them tangible value too. They're going to save money. They're going to get access quicker than everybody else. And again, you're going to find it's a two-pronged approach here to actually driving considerable front load revenue in that first instance. All right. So once you've done that, you'll find loads of the guys that you already have communication with already. They're going to take you up on that offer. You might already sell 4 of those codes before you've even launched. And that's what we want to do on launch day. We basically want to get to the point on launch day where we had 5 codes available or 10 launch codes available, and actually 8 of them have already been redeemed. Okay, so we're not going into our community with anything inauthentic or unethical. We're not lying to them saying, there's false scarcity and urgency. You've got to get these codes when actually there's hundreds of codes available. You're actually sending out messages on the day, and what we recommend doing is 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, saying, look, already 8 people out of the 10 have used those codes. Now it's 9. Okay, so you just want to keep reminding everybody that these codes aren't going to be live forever. They are launch discount codes, only available to you guys who are early movers, and after that, once they're gone, they're gone. Okay. So following that, and depending on how successful your launch has been and how many of the codes have been used, what you want to do is kind of a debrief follow-up on the in the 24 hours after launch day, and then 2 days after, as well as 3 days after. Okay, so if you haven't actually filled all of those launch spaces in terms of people who have redeemed those discounts, then just remind everybody, say to them, look, we've got one code left, and then the next day we've got another code, whatever it might be. All right. So again, you don't want to be inauthentic. You shouldn't lie, of course, but look, there's you've got a product here that you are trying to sell, and oftentimes the reason people aren't buying your products is they simply aren't reminded enough that you actually have them and you offer them. Okay, so just remind them, refresh them about the value prop, tell them how they can get in, give them the link to check out, and then you'll find that those limited discount codes that you've released for launch will go very, very quickly. Now, one thing that we did after our launch sequence, and this was really something that I did, spur of the moment, was that 3 days after, all of the codes were well and truly gone. But what I kind of wanted to do, and it was namely based on the fact that I was still getting DMs from people saying, I've tried to use the code to sign up to the paid community and it's not working. Please, could I get a code? Whatever it might be. And I thought this is another way for me not only to continue front loading value to people who are engaging with the acquisition partner brand, but it's a way for us to keep generating cash, to keep on generating that initial cash collected that's attached to that launch event for our paid community. So something we did here, and what I did in our, we did it solely through our newsletter, was a kind of feeling cheeky sell. So we said, look, all of the codes are gone, but for some reason, say, I'm feeling giddy, feeling cheeky, I'm going to open up 2 more codes, first come, first serve. If you copy and paste those in checkout at this link and they don't work, then the codes are gone. Sorry. All right. So following that, okay, and that really surmises the whisper sequence here in terms of how you can launch. What we have done is actually add discount codes to our exit intent pop-ups on our landing pages. So when you go to our flagship offer, and you read through that and you look at all our amazing video case studies, whatever it might be, when you go to actually exit, we offer a 50% discount code on our community. Okay, so people can copy those codes, they can click sign up, buy now, and then it's very quick and easy for them to click lifetime access and then type in the discount code down here. All right, and what they're going to see there is this value up here be cut in half, all right, by 50%. So something we've done for all of our flagship offers is just add in because the community isn't our main product offering, we don't want individuals who are able, ready, willing, and in a position to invest in our flagship offer. We don't necessarily want them just to join the community first to try and get value from that, as opposed to actually joining us one-on-one. But equally, we still want to give that option there for anybody who's gone onto our main landing page there. Okay, so next things to look at with a successful paid community is management and retention. All right. So if you don't manage your community properly, if you don't continually add new resources or build engagement within the community, what you're going to find is that your level of retention is very, very low. Okay. So the reason for launching a community, or one of the reasons we've discussed, is being able to have predictable monthly recurring revenue, cash flow in your business, whatever it might be. But if you are not managing and maintaining that community properly, then all of those subscribers are probably going to churn, and your monthly recurring revenue from your paid community is going to take a massive hit. Okay, so you've done all the hard work, you've done all of this, promotion, you've DM'd people, you've done a little bit of outreach. You don't want all of that hard work to go to waste for people just to join and then leave. Okay, so it all starts with management, and one thing that you want to do is really take yourself out of that management. If you have a ultra high ticket flagship offer where you are working with established business owners for a significant upfront investment, like we are, one-on-one, and a lot of your time, resources, and focus is dedicated to those individual clients, you don't want to be sat on a Discord community, sorting out people's billing and answering brief Q&As about, whatever it might be, technical issues that actually VAs could manage through a support system like Freshdesk. Okay, so one thing that you want to do very quickly is get, if you don't have VAs already, get VAs involved, and you want to basically delegate all of the administrative burden that potentially you might be doing yourself. Okay, so when it comes to members signing up to the community and changing their roles and permissions, leave it to a VA. And the same goes for automations too. Okay, so if you can't use a VA, or equally you can get a VA to set these up, what you want to make sure is that you've got a few key automations in place. Now, the split and the divide of where you need these automations to be placed really spreads across updates and follow-ups. All right. So one thing that you want to focus on is keeping updates automated, so that every time a new subscriber joins your Discord community, you get a notification, your team gets a notification. Same if they unsubscribe. And the ways that you do that and use that is through Zapier. So we've got a couple of Zaps here that I will link in this guide that you can clone yourself. And what that's going to do is basically take a customer notification when a subscription is actually created in Lemon Squeezy. You're going to get a ping in a specific dedicated Discord channel that other members don't have access to. And then they're going to be added as a lead to your CRM. Okay. And we use HighLevel. All right. So once a new subscriber has been pinged in Discord and they've been added to our CRM, or indeed actually found in our CRM, because most of them are coming from our free course anyway, what we then do within HighLevel is tag those with a community subbed or unsubbed tag, and then we send them through a series of automated follow-ups here. Okay, and the reason that these follow-ups are important is that they can namely help nurture individuals who have joined the community. Maybe they don't know where resources are within that community, and they need a bit of help in educating. It's going to help build retention. And then also on the flip side too, here with unsubs, what we do is basically leverage those discounts that we've introduced earlier on in the process here. We are able to then leverage those when it comes to retaining our customers too. All right. So within one of our unsubscribe recovery flows, we basically follow up with a way for these unsubscribers to change their billing details. Maybe it was an error, maybe it was a mistake, whatever it might be. Maybe they've changed cards. We give them the opportunity to update their billing details. We then hit them with the discount codes. And we do this over a period of a few days here / weeks, just in order to remind those individuals of why they joined the community in the first place. Okay, so these follow-ups I'll link in this guide here. All right, so talking about retention. Now, like I say, if you have done all the hard work, you've built out a community, you think there's a ton of value in there, retaining customers and subscribers can be more difficult than you anticipate if you haven't already built and managed a community already. All right, and these core components are ones that we lean on and leverage in order to keep our retention levels extremely high and keep our churn low. Okay, so one of the main drivers behind retention is consistent engagement. Now, the difficult thing with a low ticket offer is that oftentimes individuals who pay a small amount for something, by nature of spending a small amount of money, investing a very small fraction of their investable, total income or, finances into that product, means that they're actually not going to see that product as being very valuable. Okay, so when they pay a lot of money, they're naturally going to see that product as having high perceived value. They're going to be more engaged and try and get more out of it. When it comes to lower ticket offers, what you might find is that individuals will join and then through no fault of yours, no fault of a lack of value or whatever it might be, they just don't get engaged with the community. They don't drop comments. They don't leverage the resources they can. And ultimately, our community is a way for anybody to pay an extremely small nominal fee and to basically get direct access to me and my team. Okay, so if we have individuals in there posting 10 times a day, we will answer them 10 times a day. Okay, we get individuals that do that. They post a lot, they engage, they help out other members, and then we get members that pay for subscriptions. They don't churn, they're still subscribers now, and they've never posted once, right? So these might be the guys that are sitting back and actually they get the most value from witnessing conversations going on and that value exchange without actually getting involved themselves. But 9 times out of 10, what you will find is that your churn will be high when people are subscribing and then they're not actually engaging. All right. So one thing that you want to do to bolster that retention of that subscription and that customer is to keep them engaged. Okay. So when they join, hit them. We have a bot on Discord that gives them a bespoke welcome DM, tells them how to use the platform, how to get their permission roles changed, and actually how to locate all of the core pieces of value within the community. And then really what you want to do with that consistent engagement is partner it with speed. Okay. So the reason that we chose Discord is that we get pings, myself, my staff, we get pings on our phone when we get new messages. It's very easy to type off a reply. And it's kind of that concept of speed to lead. The results are maximized when we can be super quick to that lead. Okay. So they paid for the community, and really with our community, you can join the free one. You can get value out of that, and indeed the free course. You can then upgrade on a weekly membership. You can send a message that same second, and we will practically respond that same second. Okay. And if we don't respond, the community will respond to you anyway. All right. So what you're going to find through consistent engagement and speed, and indeed adding new resources on a consistent basis, is that you will build a kind of cumulative velocity. All right. And what you'll find is that everything that you add to the community, the quicker that you move, the faster you provide responses, you're going to build a bit of a snowball effect, and other individuals within the community are going to see that you're so engaged and that other people are engaged. Therefore, they then start getting engaged and commenting and things like that. And this really is kind of a quadrant here that will help you build that retention and lower your churn rates too. All right, so what we've gone over, guys, in this video is the core key components behind launching a paid community, and specifically what we did. Now, paid communities are incredibly valuable, not least because you can build predictable cash flow into your business. Now, if you were building your business to sell and you were trying to sell to a private equity company, monthly recurring revenue and predictable cash flow is something that any outside investor will look upon as being a core kind of value add from of your business. Okay, so if you don't have that, it's something that we recommend doing, and a paid community can be a great way to do that. Now, there's a number of different issues that you might run into. I can make a separate video on this. But let me know what you think, guys. What I will do is I'm going to drop a link to the community below with a discount code. So if you're not in the community already, I'm going to give you a link there that you can get some additional value from. All right, so let me know what you've thought about this video. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. It would mean the world to me, and we will catch up in the next one. All right, cheers, guys.